Hello and welcome to Hardcast, and join us on a fun vacation on a tropical resort where you are perfectly safe. I'm Humphrey Erm.
And my name's Chris.
Lifeline, give me Bloodshot Reborn, Volume 4, Bloodshot Island. Issue 14. Bloodshot frantically tries to find magic, realizes that he's blocked by a force field keeping him inside an island, and right after finding a stash of guns, he comes across a dog with the same color scheme as him. After that, he meets another Bloodshot, who he finds out is named Viet Man, and they both get attacked by some unseen force from above. They manage to escape and meet three other Bloodshots: Cold Man, Tank Man, and Quiet Man. They try to explain things to Bloodshot, but they get all picked off one by a floating foe named Deathmate. As they all die, we see Kosol observing them from his headquarters, and a cleanup team goes to pick up the Bloodshot's remains and puts them back in their pods so they can heal by morning to repeat it all over again. Alright, it's been a while since Bloodshot.
Yep.
So I almost forgot how awful the last volume was.
I can't remember anything about the last volume.
It was like the one time I actually got pissed.
I can't remember.
You know, because it was all a dream.
Right. Wait, which one was... No, right, I'm thinking Eternal Warrior was the one with the maze. Oh, it was the one where he was in the future.
Right, the like Mad Max kind of world.
Yeah, okay, now I remember.
You know, really cool world building, really interesting, and then nope. Anyways. But yeah, I don't know. I like stuff like this, though. I mean, I know some people who it's not that they get upset, but they feel certain characters get cheapened if you start making like quote unquote knockoffs.
Yeah.
Like I think there actually was something called Spider-Man Island. Like I'm not sure if it was the same sort of setup, but it was something where a lot of different Spider-Men like got together. And I know some people get a bit like, but like it's Spider-Man, like it's now there's not only one Spider-Man. Now it's like all these different ones. What's called Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen. It's so many characters, so you kind of lose the what would the word be? Uniqueness.
Yeah, but I mean they did that with Batman too, right? With the Bat Family.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. You gotta beat the dead horse.
Oh no.
Or milk the cow as much as you can.
Oh yeah, no, certainly. And again, I feel with the Bloodshot, like lore-wise and context, it works. Because, again, we know from prior volumes that he's not the first Bloodshot.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know, oh, we have this one character now suddenly, oh, there's a bunch of clones or whatever. So this just makes sense in the sense of, like, these characters have existed. It makes sense that they have existed. And again, it's just kind of fun having, like... it's just kind of fun having the same kind of power set be spread around, so to speak.
Yeah, but it's... What I don't really enjoy about this is that they all were upgraded to, like, the newest, level or whatever. And... I don't know. I feel like it would have been more interesting if they had their original, ways of regenerating or whatever. I mean, obviously, maybe that just wouldn't work that way, but it would kind of see like. I think it would have been more interesting that then this enemy, this Deathmate, would work her way through the time. Like kind of like a level progression thing, where. She starts off with the guy from, I guess the first one would be World War One, and then you would go on to, World War Two, and then the Cold War or Vietnam, whichever one, came first, and then go up to Bloodshot, whenever that dog was created, just kind of like because then they would always be getting more and more powerful. I would feel, or the healing factor would become more and more like stronger. But having them all basically on the same level kind of makes it a little bit boring because I don't know when, I think it's in the next issue when the guy from World War II is explaining about how his whole thing worked, and that was interesting, because I was just like, oh, that sounds really cool. I would have loved to see that, but no, of course you don't get to see it. You just, nope, now I have nanites.
No, I think that's not actually a really good point because it kind of defeats my point too in that sense. The idea that we have like these different characters.
Yeah.
But now, as you said, they have basically the same capabilities. I mean, they have different memories and like personalities, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's not like, oh, this guy's kind of immune to certain things because he's too old.
Right.
Or this guy like was some kind of weird prototype where maybe it really hurts, but it gives him some kind of edge or whatever.
Right.
So that's a good point. I wasn't thinking so much about that, but
because again, they're just clones that have like a different, as you said, like a different backstory. So they have different ways of doing things,
Exactly. Though honestly, the way you described it, it basically sounds like a Syndrome's plan from the first Incredibles.
Never watched it.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, spoilers for anyone, but if the sequel's already out now, I guess people should have seen it. Now, basically, his plan is that he's creating this giant robot, like a super powerful robot, and he tests it out by inviting superheroes who have gone into hiding to come and test it out, basically. And he slowly like kills them off one by one. Like anytime one of the heroes beats it, he rebuilds it so it can defeat him.
Yeah.
And basically, you find out that he's basically killed off like half of all the heroes or something with this machine. And by the time he defeats like Mr. Incredible, or he thinks he does, then it's like, all right, now it's ready to actually, be sent out to the world, and I'll be the only one to stop it, and then I'll be the hero.
Right.
But yeah, it just made me think of it when you described it that way. Like, oh, and just a little nerd trivia. Deathmate's a thing from the original Valiant. So it was actually part of what killed Valiant.
What do you mean?
Well, remember I mentioned that there was this Image Valiant crossover?
Nope.
Oh. Well, there was this Image Valiant crossover in the
90s. I understood that.
So, because both were like the new company, so to speak. You had Marvel and DC, but then these two were like the new ones. So they decided to do like a crossover event. And it was called Deathmate. But due to Image having like some... I can't remember all the artists involved, but I know Rob Liefeld was one of them. And like the Valiant artists and writers, they were always on time with all their like contributions. But Image was always really late, which made a huge issue with like the stores and stuff because they ordered all these books, but they didn't arrive, and then people lost interest.
Yeah.
But Deathmate was like the villain of that whole thing. So I just find it kind of interesting that they, again, who's going to remember that like amongst the new readers? But it's kind of cool that they kind of have, I guess, like confidence to use the name of something that kind of killed them in the last time.
Yeah, but you just said that like none of the new readers are going to know who this person is, so then that whole thing is moot.
Yeah, but like on a meta level, it's kind of interesting, I feel.
I don't see that as like, I don't know. I doubt, I would never consider like a character being the reason for, something going down. Like, what was that superhero movie that people said killed the superhero genre back in the 90s, the one with Shaquille O'Neal?
Oh, I wouldn't think that was the one that killed it, but it was a Steel.
Right.
I always heard Batman and Robin being the one responsible.
Yeah, well, one of those two. Yeah. But that's what I mean, like with Batman and Robin. That's even a better example because it actually was proven. It's not the characters that ruin something. So, I'm not looking at, even if I knew the backstory of this character, I wouldn't be like, oh, here we go. Here's this character that ruined, or ended the Valiant universe because it was such a shitty book. It's like, no, it was a shitty book that did it. It was the people behind the book. It was maybe it was Image, just not, Image is the one who killed Valiant. That's what we're going to say now.
Oh, yeah, no, but it is. I mean, people do consider that.
and that's what I mean. Like, it's not like this character, so I don't feel like it's a... I just can't imagine that they were, having a discussion about like, oh, who should the the big bad be in this book, and someone bringing out this name, everyone like, oh no, we can't do that. That would be so bold of us. I feel like it was just like that's an old character that we have. Let's use it. I don't think anyone was considering it to be a bold move or like some sort of courageous thing to be like, oh, let's put this character in that's somehow related to the downfall of us in the 90s.
All right. No, I mean, I see what you mean, and I guess you're right in that sense. But I guess for me, it's not so much the character itself, but like what it represents. Like I've heard someone having an interesting take on, I think it was the first Guardians of the Galaxy. The after credit scene with Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
So I heard someone having a kind of like an analysis on that, saying that this was kind of like their way of how should we say, like putting like kind of their bad films behind them, because Howard the Duck was the first actual like Marvel movie, in terms of a Marvel character, and it was critically panned, and it's known today as like some like crappy old movie. But it was kind of like that person saw it kind of like having him there to be able to feel confident enough to be able to kind of reference that old movie and this character in a motion picture again. Kind of showed how confident Marvel Studios is now or something.
Do you really think that's it? Or do you not just think like, hey, let's take a ridiculous character that we have in the Marvel universe and just put them in here? I mean, I feel like this is, I think a problem with a lot of this kind of stuff is that people just think way too much about all this stuff and like, oh, this must mean this and oh, this must mean that. Like, especially right now, on my Google News feed, I'm getting so much crap about everyone picking apart every single goddamn frame from the Avengers movie, and the titles are also always so clickbaity, so they're always so annoying because it's always like, this fan found something amazing in Avengers 2 that will make you completely re-watch the whole cinematic universe, some shit like that. And it's just like this whole thing about like, this is why Thanos didn't attack the Avengers earlier. He waited for Odin to die before he could because Odin is so powerful. And it's just like, all right, fine. And I'm pretty sure the writers of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe are just sitting back laughing like, oh, good. They're making our work so much easier.
Well, it's like Matt Pat and what's called Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
No, I see what you mean, and I agree in that sense. Certainly people can go overboard, and the clickbaity titles are annoying. But I don't know, like, I think that's kind of what makes it. I mean, again, we're very different, you and me, in terms of being a nerd and such. And of course, I can also see people going overboard, but I don't know. For me, again, since I didn't know about Valiant until just a few years back, so I don't have this history with Deathmate. But I'm kind of like this sort of retroactively nostalgic. Is that a word? Is that a term?
That sounds so pedantic.
I'm actually retroactively nostalgic. It's very different.
Yes. Oh God.
No, but like
that's like those kids who like were born in December of 1999. They still consider themselves 90s kids.
Oh, fucking posers. So yeah, but either way, I just wanted to bring that up. That it's not a new character, though the premise of them is very different now because they were a lot more cosmic in the original.
They.
Oh well, her. So she was basically, as far as I remember, because I haven't read it fully. Basically, the character from Valiant called Solar, who's kind of like the original divinity, you could say, in terms of like a reality warper.
Yeah, the one that they couldn't keep the rights.
Exactly.
Okay.
He basically has sex with a similar character from the Image world, and they give birth to Deathmate.
Wow, I wonder why this didn't go so well.
Yeah, and then basically they give birth to Deathmate, and that's what connects their worlds. Yeah. Well, make love, not war. Or make love, then war. Anyways, so I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel with this first issue, it's really good because it really sets everything up as they should. So we get the location, we get the characters, and we get like the context. So I mean, just like that last page where we were, or like the last 2 pages where we get to see Kosal and Project Rising Spirit and like, oh, like now we know what we're up for the next 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah.
All right, issue 15. Bloodshot wakes up in Bloodsquirt's lair with a comatose magic. But it's all a dream when, as predicted, he wakes up fully healed the next morning, together with all the other Bloodshots. Our Bloodshot doesn't want to give up like the others already have. He tries to get more information about Deathmate, like, for example, where she came from. They split up into groups to find her lair. Later, Bloodshot's buddy dies while he makes a run for the hill where she's supposed to be from. Bloodshot finds the lair, destroys it, and after getting very close to Deathmate, recognizes her as Kay.
Dun dun dun.
Who's that now? No, I'm joking. I know who that was.
I don't know. Speaking of what's called old female characters, I actually totally forgot about the Festival.
Festival?
Well, the woman in the desert.
Oh, I have no idea what that is.
It was the woman from the first 2 volumes. She was like that, the FBI agent who was trying to track Bloodshot.
Right.
But at first, I thought it was actually that the woman from the first 2 volumes of the original Bloodshot run.
See, here's the thing. You need to... I'm going to say it again, which I've said multiple times before. We need the beautiful Detective Conan summary every single time a new character comes in.
Yeah, no, but you're right.
I mean, because first of all, how are we supposed to know who this is if they don't say somehow indicate it? Because I mean, there's months, years in between the last issue where we saw her, and it's also drawn by a different artist, right?
So yeah.
So how the hell are we supposed to recognize her if she doesn't have a costume on?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I'm just checking it right now, and well, I mean, she does say her name in the first panel. The Personal Journal of Agent Diane Festival.
Yeah, I guess.
So, but again, I thought because the last time we saw what's called the nurse or like the ambulance driver from the first volumes, like of the before Reborn. I don't know if you remember that, but she was kind of like the sidekick to Bloodshot in the first adventure.
Yeah, maybe.
So, and he basically at the end of volume 2, no, at the end of volume 3 with the whole Harbinger Wars. Or Harbinger War, he gave her, he basically gave her like a location where she dug up some like cash and like other things, and told her to basically go help her brother and like go into hiding. And I thought, and last we saw her was in a desert like that, so I was like, oh my god, are they bringing her back? I was like, awesome continuity. But I was like, nope, she's still forgotten. Like I'm waiting for her to make a comeback, not because she was super interesting, but she existed.
Yeah.
Rules of story say that you can't just disappear. Anyways, so
I mean, again, this is one of those typical continuations. I mean, there was a big twist at the end, but yeah, it's just a little bit of story of who these characters are in the background. Like, I was in World War One, I was in World War Two, and then K attacks or Deathmate. And I feel like it was very easy there, like finding this layer. And I mean, again, it's pretty much going to be like this whole like it's all part of the plan thing. But I mean, because come on, that's like not even protected at all. I mean, at least close the door.
Yeah, you feel kind of again. I don't think they've been doing this since World War II.
No, I don't think so either.
But probably at least a year or two, at least.
Well, they said that they've been there for 5 years, right?
Oh, did they? Okay, I don't remember that part.
I think something like that. They did give a certain year.
Oh, right. Didn't someone say like they stopped counting after 5 years or something?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So then, then we have like, okay, then at least 5 years, 5 years plus.
And you'd imagine that even if if I was Kozal here in this situation, and the architect of this area was like, should we make a door for the thing? And I mean, who in their right mind would not consider that if this project was supposed to go for this long, at some point they would stumble across this thing, right? I mean, I feel like if I would be doing something for 5 years and dying at the end of it each time, I would at least like explore the island, you know? If at one point I was like, all right, yesterday I went west, so today I'm going to go north and see how far I can get. And then I'll be like, oh, look, there's a mountain. Let's see if I can get to the top of it this time before I die. You know, so I don't know. I just feel like it's so weird that there's just literally an open hole with the battery, I guess, that she has to recharge herself. And yeah, I don't know.
No, I
It's
agree,
weird.
and it's not like the new Bloodshot really brought anything new.
No, he was just like, let's
Like it's
keep,
yeah, like it's one thing
let's
if there's
split up.
like there's one thing if there's a new power involved, like,
Right,
oh right, because he can actually do this, and that's why they didn't consider that.
right. But
But
no, it's just like, let's split up, like you guys probably did when you first came here.
exactly, and as you mentioned too, the fact that I mean, again, if they had the whole thing where they weren't upgraded, then it could make sense if there was something else, and like not this, because that's just observation. But then you could have had something where like he could actually maybe manipulate some controls or something.
Well, again, that's what I mean. What I mean would be so interesting with this character, with this enemy, is that she's gotten so good at killing them because she knows how to exploit their weaknesses. Right? That's what I mean. Like say one guy started and then she knew how to beat him, so they added a second one, then she knew how to beat them, then they added a third one, a fourth one, a fifth one, and then she's always gotten really good at killing them. It's kind of like a roguelike game. You just start getting better and better, and then it becomes easy. And then that's what I mean. And then that's why here now Bloodshot comes in with a new type of power, or like the nanotech version, which is a lot more sophisticated. And suddenly she has to take a little bit more time, because then it would also make sense that maybe he can get further than the others ever got, because he can take more damage, because maybe his nanites heal him faster or something like that. And that's why he was finally able to get to the point where they could have never gotten to ever in the past.
Exactly. But at this point, it's because we've seen these things in other movies as well. Like people stuck in some prison or whatever, and then the main character, comes in as well. And how do we get out of here? There's no getting out of here, protagonist.
Right.
Yeah, we've been here for 10 years and we've tried everything.
Oh,
But did you
yeah.
try this?
Yeah.
Oh my god, no, none of us did. For 10 years, none of us thought of just beating this wall. Or again, if there's something more like, maybe he has a guy on the outside that will help, okay, that's a new
Yeah.
element.
Yeah. Or a power or something like that.
Exactly. But anyways, but this is kind of what I do like going through this with you, because I wasn't thinking this at all reading it. Because this is the first time I read it too. This is because remember I stopped after the last volume.
Okay.
So this was my first time read as well. And I just love going through with this because you notice these things. So, but yeah, shocking revelation. Issue 16. Bloodshot figures out that Deathmate is actually Kay, the former geomancer that he failed to protect. It seems to get to her, but the PRS increases her memory suppression, and she's about to kill Bloodshot when Bloodhound attacks her. He tries to talk her down, but she won't hear it, so Bloodshot and Bloodhound manage to attack back and escape. The dog leads Bloodshot to some underground area with a giant metal wall, and the two have a heart-to-heart. They then leave, having a plan, and manage to come across the cleanup crew. They threaten them to allow them to leave, but they won't do it till morning when the others are healed, and Bloodshot wants to save Kay. Meanwhile, former Agent Festival is checking out her notes in the motel that Bloodshot stayed in when she hears a sound outside. She goes to investigate and gets kidnapped. Alright. I love Bloodhound.
Yeah.
I don't know, just
MVP.
hmm?
MVP.
Yeah. But also that, as you mentioned, like as he said, oh, guess no one wanted to follow you here, like no one listened to you. And again, you feel statistically,
Yeah, exactly.
like sure, maybe even by accident, because it doesn't seem like it's all that big of an isle, big enough. But if you truly are trying to either attack her or, survive,
Yeah.
you'd feel eventually you might come across a hole somewhere. Or
Yeah, or I mean, even then, I mean, no matter how like animal hating a person is, if they are doing the same thing for at least 5 years, at one point they might be like, all right, let's see what the dog says. Because you're going through so many options. I mean, what would that be? That's like what, 1,500 days.
yeah.
I mean, think about all the shit that you would do in that time. Like, I mean, at one point, I mean, I would just start trying to make it at least a little bit enjoyable. Like, all right, today I'm going to walk only on my hands. Because if you're going to be killed anyway and there's like nothing you can do and you've already given up, then you might as well make at least a little bit of fun out of it. And then they could be like, hey, you know what's going to be really fun today? Let's just follow the dog and see where he goes.
No, absolutely. But honestly, do you know what else this reminds me of then? Groundhog Day.
Well,
Yeah, no, obviously not the whole same thing with because there's an actual time travel mechanic involved. But it does have that sense of, no consequence. Like in the sense of, all right, you die or and then you wake up and you try it again. So it kind of is like you said, like why not just try things eventually, like Bill Murray does.
right.
He starts off with more like, what would you say, like more like normal things, like oh maybe I'll try to avoid this puddle this time, or
Yeah. But he goes very quickly, he goes into like weird things.
So yeah, no, but eventually, because he realizes there's no consequence, so why not, don't go to your job or,
Kill yourself.
Yes, exactly, many different ways. Because who cares? He's gonna wake up anyways.
Do very rapey things to women.
Oh yeah, but it's okay because it always resets unless it's all different timelines.
Could you imagine like all these timelines? Anyway.
But yeah, no, it's nice, and I feel with all the action, the time in like that cave was really sweet. I mean, having a 9-panel page like that. I don't know, it was very nice. Like, and it's just something when someone sits and talks to their dog. Like, they won't answer back, but you kind of feel they still listen. Yeah, it's really cute.
My dog doesn't.
Oh, maybe you have to paint like a red eye patch on him.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. If we covered him in like white paint or whatever, and then put the red on there, he would look like Bloodhound.
Oh my god, dude! Cosplay.
Nah.
And your girlfriend could be Magic.
My girlfriend already is Magic.
Oh, that is sweet.
Yeah. So this issue was again just progressing the story again. Seems it feels weird that they would send out the cleanup crew once, like since they know that Bloodshot is already out there, is still out there. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like unless they're getting their orders like by a clock. So basically they just sit in a bunker until it's time to go out, and then they go out. But if Kozal sent them, that's kind of a bad management decision on Kozal's part.
Well, you have seen his track record.
Yeah, true.
No, but I'm guessing the idea is the fact that because he mentioned that it seemed like he couldn't be tracked underneath there.
Yeah.
Like somehow, like either something with the construction, like with the wall there, or it's some kind of like gap in her like sensors. So maybe for them too, it was something like, oh, we can't get a signal anymore. I guess he's dead.
True.
But who knows? I mean, it still works though, and I like the idea of these people just kind of coming out and picking up the bodies, and yeah.
It's like your little imagination monster dude.
Oh right, yeah. Still haven't done more with that. So, but maybe but maybe one day that throwaway line will be something.
Maybe. Make sure to put it in the show notes if you ever do.
Yes. And now a word from our sponsors. Da dun, da dun, da dun 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 da dun. Shark nuggets. That's right, coming to a supermarket near you. Chicken of the Sea's new shark nuggets, made only from the fresh Pacific Ocean sharks. Fished humanely with no machinery by skilled World War II veterans, they're blended and battered into delicious lumps that you can fry up at your leisure. Chicken of the Sea's shark nuggets. Bite them before they bite you.
As a vegetarian, I am disgusted.
Yeah, but it's references the last issue.
Yes. I didn't write one. Okay, continue on. We only have one sponsor this week. We haven't been bringing out the episodes regularly enough. The sponsors have left us. Issue 16. Bloodshot barely survives the night and the fight against Kay. The others come in the nick of time to pretty much defeat her. Kay flies off as the Bloodshot team try to find an exit. Kozo reveals his evil plan and turns on a device that makes everyone in Manhattan into a Bloodshot.
All right. I mean, I know there's one more issue, but still, kind of like a cool little climax that just kind of starts more questions than answers.
Yeah.
You know, we still don't really quite know, like, Deathmate's purpose, and then, well, crap, now we're all albinos.
Yeah. Yeah.
They cured racism. They're all the same color.
Oh, Jesus. No, it's gonna be like this. It's the wide noses.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, you're right. and as we remember from Fairly Odd Parents, even if everyone was the gray blob, we'd still find a problem.
Oh yeah, well I have sticked out nipples.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about this issue. I mean, I guess it's just weird what's happening to the people. And I always feel like, I mean, I'm assuming this has something to do with like cell phones and everyone being addicted to their phones and stuff like that. And I've kind of gotten bored with that whole thing where it's just this obvious, like, look, everyone's, all controlled by their devices and no one can do anything without their smartphone anymore. And what if some company comes out and like takes advantage of it and all that kind of shit? And I'm like, yeah, maybe that's happening, whatever, but I can't, like, I don't know. I can't, I just don't want to see this anymore. I hate that trope of just like, whatever technology kills or whatever the trope would be called, where, just our usage of like the trying to hold up a mirror to us. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this might be a very European problem because, and I mean, I don't know about the younger generation, but I don't feel like Europeans have the same kind of phone addiction. I mean, obviously there are some people, but not the same as in like Americans or English people. Because I've been listening to some podcasts and some people have been talking about a lot of, because like recently there's a lot of these stats coming out. Like I think Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that are trying to do the whole thing where they show you how much time you spend on their device or on their like platform. And they also the iPhone is doing this too. Like it's basically there's an area where it tells you like how many times did you pick up your phone per day, and so many people are so worried about this that like they're looking at it going like, holy shit, I pick up my phone 260 times a day. And I mean, I pretty much, I mean, I work with someone who doesn't even have a cell phone, and most of the other people there, I mean, they're not on their phones at all. I mean, it doesn't feel like something that like when we have lunch together, no one's like looking at their phones. Everyone's in the conversation, and there were all these stories that I've been hearing about all these people talking about like how um, they're constantly looking at their phones. Like they can't even have a conversation with a person without looking at their phone. Like someone was saying that yeah, he would be talking with his long lost friend, and every 5 minutes he would look at his phone, or both of them would be looking at their phone, just like seeing what's happened. And I'm just like, either I'm not popular enough, but I don't have that much to do on my phone. And so again, maybe this is just an American thing where this kind of story it hits home more in America, where like suddenly the phones will turn on you and you will become a zombie, and everyone's just like freaked out because they're constantly on their phones and it's just constant contact. But like my phone isn't even in arm's reach right now of me. It's like in a different room right now. But I don't know. I don't know. That was my like 2 cents that went on for like 10 minutes. So
Well, it's not that. It's just, because it was an interesting rant or so, but I'm not even sure that's the point in the comic here.
yeah, but I mean, I'm looking at all these people, and all the time when you're looking at them, they're all on their phones.
Yeah, but all we get is, he opens up the windows and they find out that they're in New York.
Manhattan, yeah.
And all we see is like one shot where we see three people and two of them have their phones. And then we see people start like going, ah.
Yeah, yeah, but the thing is that the advertising is also like very front and center. So that's kind of what I was I don't know. I mean it just kind of feels very I don't know, it felt a little bit like look at advertising. There's an advertising thing here, and then there's you know everyone's on their phone, and I don't know. It's
So, I don't know. I mean, it's just a cool idea, and I'm looking forward then to, well, the next Bloodshot volume will be then Bloodshot USA. So, and it's one of those, again, it's not an event, I guess, in the sense of like, other characters joining up, I think.
mm,
But it is like its own name. Like, it's not called Bloodshot Reborn. It is called Bloodshot USA, and it's like issue 1 through 4 or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
So it is like its own like adventure before it comes to the new series that's currently still being published, Bloodshot Salvation. So with that knowledge, I guess everything works out. So I got I'm curious about the next volume though, because it's the thing we've always discussed when, like, how big of a threat must the hero face before he has to call in other people?
Yeah.
Like you'd feel this is like, okay, maybe Exo Manowar and Livewire should do something here. Like, where are they?
Right.
So, I mean, again, who knows? Maybe they do bring it up or explain it, or maybe they do join up. Who knows? So, I don't know, it's cool. So, let's go. Yes, the whole teaming up at the end, and yeah. And then the Bloodshot's off to sea.
Yeah. And this is where it could have ended.
Okay, so you feel the next issue was unnecessary?
Yeah, the next issue was very unnecessary. I mean,
well, we'll go through it quickly then here.
No. I'm just saying, like, from because this is the climactic end. This is what you want to end on. You know what I mean? Like this is like, okay, right here. This is what's going to make me buy the next issue or the next book. The next volume. Because this is interesting. Like, holy shit! Everyone in Manhattan is now turned into a Bloodshot, and we have a nice little ending here. Of them getting off the ship, and it's like, all right, badass Bloodshot and his group of other Bloodshots are going to come and defeat all the other Bloodshots. We're going to have to start finding a way to differentiate them. But you know what I mean? Like this sounds awesome, and then we just have like this entire issue of just talking, and it's so boring.
Issue 18. In this epilogue, we get to see the Bloodshot crew on their raft, sharing their stories of how they became who they were, each part of a different war and time period. They argue among themselves a bit, but after getting some good shark meat, Bloodshot starts swimming while pushing the raft, deciding that they should all take shifts so they can reach land sooner. And honestly, you're right in that sense. I think they wanted this idea of a little breather episode. We've had an intense, 4 issues. Everyone like shooting, getting blown up, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they like the idea of having like, them just sort of hanging out and getting some backstory.
Yeah, but okay. And now look at this from the perspective of a guy who is reading this book or this issue or the previous issue and is totally psyched for the next issue, and then he's so happy and it's like he couldn't wait for the month to be over because he's like, oh, I need to know what happens, and he's like running to his comic book store when it comes out, and then he buys it and he goes home, sits down, gets a soda and sits down, gets ready to read it, and he opens it and he reads this. How disappointing is that? Like, I feel like you can't do this. Like when I flipped over to the next page, I thought that the volume was done on that one, and then when this extra one came, I was like, oh, okay, I guess it continues. So I kept reading through it, but I would be so disappointed if I had to wait another month for the conclusion of that, or just like the reveal of what is actually happening. And again, like this issue does seem like a bonus issue. I mean, it's beautifully illustrated. It's on obviously a different artist, and it does seem like the like the avant-garde kind of artsy movie of comics for this. It's like no, let's discuss our tragic pasts and let's talk and all that kind of stuff, and which is fine, but you don't.
Well, it's kind of like a Tarantino flick here in terms of like just a bunch of tough dudes talking.
Right, but it's just, but that's not what you want in this moment, and I feel this is kind of like why comics are so different to like movies and stuff like that, because in like a movie you could have added all of this backstory into the moments when they were trudging through the jungle, because you can do and say things at the same time, whereas in comics you can't have them talking about their backstory while they're also trying to stay undercover from the death from above. So I feel like this whole scene, if this story arc was filmed, this whole issue would not be in that film, because they could put it in other places. You would have a little more time trying to figure out how to defeat Deathmate, and within that we would probably have like each time Bloodshot would go out with a different partner, and then in that day before they die, he then gets their backstory and they talk about how they were experimented on and all that kind of stuff. And I feel that would be much more satisfying because they didn't get to the good part faster. But this was just such a. I really hope that this was published as a bonus thing that came out the same month, because I would be so pissed if I had to wait 2 months to read the next one.
You know what? I could actually check. It's a quick look here on what's called the Comixology store, because they do say when it was published, like for real, and when digitally. The last issue was published on the 28th of September, 2016. And then this one was published... Loading. Nope, next month.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But not as long, though. The 5th of October, so like maybe 2 weeks or so? Or not, 1 week, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if it's the 28th of September, then the 5th of October.
When's the next one? Like the one after that?
Well, after that, it's Bloodshot USA, so that might take actually a while, unless they planned it already. I mean, of course they planned it, but the first issue of that... Oh, that same month, on the 26th of October.
Yeah, see, okay, so then it was a bonus episode. It was basically a bonus comic that came out a week later.
So if you're used to waiting a month, then this came like earlier. That's kind of nice.
All right, okay, then that's fine. That's fine then.
That's kind of nice, though. I mean, again, for me, especially as like a volume read. So, I thought it was kind of nice, just kind of world building, getting a feel for the characters. Because, it's nice that they're not just all like Bloodshot.
Yeah.
what's called, and also kind of interesting just how I'm not sure. I guess I don't want to say like how they kind of represent the wars they were from, though. I guess they kind of do. Like the World War II guy's very patriotic. What's called the Vietnam guy, is what's called more suspicious of like the government and the man and such.
Mm.
What's called the Soviet
Cold War
guy,
is Russian.
So that was kind of interesting in that sense.
I am a Russian man, and that is all I need to be.
That constitutes a personality. So I don't know, it's just kind of cool. And then again, yes, the whole push at the end there in terms of like, come on, guys.
Come on, guys, let's be a team.
Yeah. Though I just get the feeling that they're all going to die except for Bloodshot.
Well, yeah, but isn't that the great thing? Because they can all just regenerate?
I'm sure it'll be something like maybe now that they don't get to go to those pods afterwards, maybe like the deathmate can actually kill them properly. I don't know. I just feel like
that's the thing. Deathmate is going to kill everyone except for the Bloodhound, because obviously you can't kill the dog. and then she's going to like look into Bloodshot's eyes, and then she's going to remember him, and she's going to start crying, and then the tears going to like, make her human again. And then it's all like, how did this happen? What is going on? And she's like, I don't know. I can't remember. And then that's the next arc, is going to be him trying to find out what happened to Kay. Or she's at home with the dog.
Yay. Yeah, again, I don't know. We'll see. So I'm just very genuinely curious, because I feel that any geomancer powers should be gone by now. Like the whole idea is that they transfer sort of.
Right, so she doesn't have any geomancer powers.
Exactly, so I'm kind of curious why she was chosen. Like, what else could she maybe have? Because she was dead, she must have been buried, they dug her up. Or maybe something more complex, like...
They did it just for the reveal. They were just like, oh, we're going to capture Bloodshot and this is going to fuck him up.
Just to be dicks.
Just to be dicks. Just to be dicks. Like, they could have been literally any woman. They had like 20 applicants for this position, and they were like, no, guys, what's going to be so funny? We're doing that Bloodshot project, right? Yeah. Okay. So we take Kay just to fuck with him. He's gonna go on an entire journey trying to figure out what happened, and let's put it into the computer right now. So when he hacks it, he'll find out we're just fucking with you. That's it. That's all it's gonna be.
And before that, let's put him in a simulation that doesn't matter.
Right. Just to make everything complete.
If someone were to observe all this stuff happening, it would feel like such a waste of time. I'm not letting go.
We can't break his bones, but we can break his mind.
Oh,
that's what they're doing, isn't it? They're just gonna like mess with him until he thinks he's crazy.
They're gaslighting the poor fool.
Oh, what if this is also a simulation?
See, that's the problem. Once you have that,
a simulation within a simulation, and then that's what Bloodshot's going to be
running at 1% capacity.
Right. Human music.
But I don't know. I mean,
seriously though, the most relatable thing was ever that the most relatable meme I've ever seen was that image of Jerry driving to work, listening to the human music, and the caption saying, "Me listening to my murder podcast on my way to my 9-to-5 job," because I literally do that. Like I listen to a True Crimes podcast on my way to work, sitting in the bus or in the train, just smiling, just like looking out the window, and I'm listening to the most horrible things happening.
True crime. So what a fandom.
You can help this list by expanding it.
I love that.
Yeah, the serial killer list of serial killers in America.
Yeah, I mean, I get, we know what they mean, but it's hilarious.
They've taken that off, by the way.
Oh, really? Or have they rephrased it?
I think they just took it away.
Oh, okay, because those who are interested will add whatever new ones they find out about, or
they
don't have to encourage people.
Could you imagine adding yourself to that?
There you go. I helped, Wiki.
Yeah, it's like, okay, 3 down. Now I'm officially a serial killer.
Okay, so it is free.
I think so. No, but I think there's also like a rule that you have to do it in a. Do you have to also do it similarly to be considered a serial killer?
Really,
And I think it
it
has to
could be.
like there's some sort of classification because either you're just either you're a murderer or a serial. I think there might be a difference. I'm not sure. Whatever. I think I might have heard it at some point that there's a difference.
Well, it's like the whole idea of like what counts as a what's called as a massacre. Like there's an actual number.
Yeah.
And I always find it interesting once you find out the actual numerical like definitions of things.
Right.
You know, like what's a hill, what's a mountain.
Right. Like that. What was that thing about like that adding a grain of sand to a pile? Like at what point does the just like a bunch of sand become a pile, and when does it become a hill? When does it become a mountain?
True, yeah. I mean, when is it a dune?
Yeah. And when is it just a waste of time?
Well, it's also kind of like that old joke about what was it I saw on 4chan? Like a screen grab. It was, okay, what would win, Son Goku or a twig? So, and then it's like, or a stick. And someone says like Goku, you know, he breaks stick in half, he wins. Now there are two sticks. Stick always wins. It's always like, I don't know, it's so stupid, but like, well, true. Now it's you always have there's shorter sticks, but still sticks.
When does it become a twig?
And when is it wood shavings?
Yeah.
Anyways. So, but yeah, I mean, there really wasn't much in this other what's called this annual book, this Bloodshot annual. It's just like a lot of these other annuals where they're like little side stories.
Yeah.
You have like a parody of like what's called of Friday. No wait. Yeah, Friday the 13th. I always mix up all those Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and all that.
Friday the 13th is the one with Jason Voorhees in the lake.
Exactly, and that's what they parody here because it's like a lake and there's this massive murderer. And Bloodshot's sent out to kill him, but it turns out that he actually isn't a murderer.
He's like the Frankenstein's monster.
Exactly. But
he's just like an ugly man who can't get friends because he's ugly. Exactly. Let that be a lesson to you, children. Don't be ugly.
Exactly. No, it's just kind of like a nice little story. I mean, you know, not nice because it's kind of sad, but you know, interesting. And what's called then it's like a parody of what's called DC and Marvel crossover events. So where all the valiant heroes fight the
Galactus.
Yeah, the anti-Beyond the Tor. So it's like the combination of the anti-Monitor from DC and the Beyonder from Marvel.
But it's basically Galactus.
Yeah, well, it's similar kind of designs or like creatures. And then
oh my god, it looks like Thanos in one shot too. Like on page whatever. Yeah.
And I love She-Squirt.
Oh, dude.
She's so cute.
Oh, I did not know that that's what her name was.
What? Oh, you thought that I called it was just me?
No, like her name is She-Squirt.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
But well, they wrote here, editor's note. We really wanted to call her Squirt Gwen, but we were told we would get sued. So again, they're kind of parodying like what's called Gwenpool or like Spider Gwen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. I mean, it's.
But still, what was her name again? Blood Squirt.
No. She-Squirt.
She-Squirt. Come on.
And then we have like specific parodies here, like the whole Faith holding Torque. It's like the one when Superman's holding Supergirl from Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
It's funny because she runs off. And then having them all the writers there seeing Dinesh and those guys is kind of fun. We can always reboot. And then we have an artsy fartsy comic with a very painted style. Actually, who painted it? Oh, art and story by Ray Fox.
Much more of a writer than an artist.
No, it's kind of cool, but it's one of those things where it feels more pretentious. Like it's not. It doesn't feel like it's done like this because it helps. It just feels like, oh, doesn't this look more artistic than, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like I always like to go to the Arkham Asylum comic book, the Batman comic book.
Yeah, the one you have. Yeah.
Yeah, where the art really just kind of really gives a point across. It's supposed to be all psychedelic and freaky, and you're supposed to feel unsettled reading it. And the art really helps. But this is just like, I want to make it look fancy. Use some watercolors that I don't quite know how to use. That kind of stuff. And it's just...
And it's also for a story that doesn't quite need to be said in this. I mean, again, I'm not saying, oh, you can't do this story. But it's like, it's a spin-off of a spin-off. Like, it's the same character from the first story of, like, what's called the Jason parody.
Yeah.
And then the last one, what's called Hell Cloud Awaits. Again, props for trying something different here. Like, I'm not sure what it reminds me of, like some old, like, underground comics or, like, heavy metal.
Really? I was thinking more like the like, old comics, like from the... What would it be, like the 60s, maybe?
Oh, because of, like, the screen tone, maybe?
Yeah, maybe something. I don't know. I felt just also strong.
I felt more like the overall, like, design style, because unless it's just the artist's way of drawing, but they were going for that kind of old-time look.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, just, again, kind of a little pointless adventure. Not sure if they're supposed to represent anything, these guys who come up, like the skull guy and the woman torso head. So, but it's like, okay, something happening, some fights, and I don't quite know what's going on.
Yeah.
So again, maybe it's a specific parody, so if I know what it's like parodying, it would be great, but it's lost on me. But yeah, that was the oversized issue 4 of Bloodshot Reborn, and the last volume of the title Reborn.
Right, next is the USA one.
So yes.
Ooh, hey. Ooh, hey.
All right, but let's see here. Honestly, I think I'll give this 4 out of 5. So, yes, in terms of like, to continue the story, it was genuinely interesting. So, and again, I'm really looking forward to the next volume just to see like what the whole deal with this Bloodshot virus and Death May, like, because I don't quite get what Coastal means with like ending all war. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
The war to end all wars. We've heard that before. I think I would also probably give it, I guess a 3 out of 5, I guess, because a lot of the stuff in the middle was kind of unnecessary. But it's hard to say because, I mean, obviously you're trying to fill up page count, but I like the idea. I do enjoy seeing a character that we know and love being put into like a situation that he's unfamiliar with, and I like the idea of just planting a character that we know onto an island and just like, here you go, have fun. So I would give it a 3 out of 5 and definitely a green light to read. But get it as the book, not as the issues, obviously.
Yeah, no, of course.
But that's what we always say.
Yep, so green light from me too.
All right, you can discuss this episode on Reddit. You can tweet us or you can follow us on Facebook. Also, all of our episodes are available on our hosting site, Podbean. Links are in the show notes. Catch us next time for
Exo Man of War, Volume 13, Succession and Other Tales.